Our film starts where Jackson returns home and finds an egg timer on the table. Then he talks to his friend on the phone and his friend tells him not being late for their baseball match at night, then advises him to take a nap before the match. However, Jackson falls asleep involuntarily, wakes up late, misses the match, and finds his phone missing. He discovers that the door was open and his car is gone, causing him great distress. Upon returning inside, he notices pictures of himself hitting his schoolmate Caleb hanging all over the house. Jackson, while investigating strange occurrences in his house, encounters a masked man who looks exactly like him, and the masked man stabs Jackson with a knife at the heel of his foot. A confrontation leads to Jackson being fatally stabbed, while simultaneously, a video of Jackson assaulting Caleb is broadcasted to his family and friends at a baseball match, making them believe Caleb sought revenge. Following Jackson's death, a group of students led by Mackenzie, including Rodrigo, Zach, Derby, and Alex, forms at school. They ostracize Caleb, who becomes increasingly isolated and disliked by others. However, Mackenzie later extends an olive branch to Caleb, inviting him to join their group, reminiscent of how Mackenzie was initially welcomed by them when she first joined the school. Meanwhile, Katie, another student, voices her disdain towards Mackenzie and Caleb, but her comments are ignored as the group moves on. Eventually, they all leave together in Zach's car to have a fun, while Mackenzie expresses gratitude towards her friends for accepting Caleb, just as they had accepted her when she first arrived at the school. When Mackenzie returns home, meet her grandmother, who plans to seek medical treatment for her sleepwalking condition, and she tells her to focus on her upcoming graduation and the university she'll be attending this year. Mackenzie tells that she won't be accepted into any university once they know the truth about her. However, grandmother reassures her, stating that she's not to blame for what happened. It's revealed that Mackenzie is hiding a secret, which will be unveiled soon. Later, Mackenzie enters her room, and they receive a message from her schoolmate Ollie, who had been involved with for a while but recently ended things with. She hadn't told any of her friends about her relationship with Ollie. Mackenzie wakes up in the middle of the night to find her grandmother missing. This time, Mackenzie discovers that all the doors of the apartment are open. After searching for her grandmother, Mackenzie eventually finds her and returns home. The next day, Katie is at the church preparing for Jackson's funeral. But Katie thinks she sees her classmate Marcus there because she catches a glimpse of him. However, the boy disappears shortly after. Katie calls Marcus but is surprised when he tells her he didn't attend the church because he wasn't feeling well. Then, the killer emerges behind Katie, wearing a mask that resembles her face. We realize that the killer wears a mask resembling the victim's face each time, trying to confuse the situation. Katie attempts to escape, but the killer fatally stabs her. Meanwhile, a recording of Katie mocking people plays in the church, and she confesses to being racist. The attendees witness Katie's body being found hanging in the church, further deepening the city's terror as the unidentified killer remains at large. The police interrogate all the students, except for Zach, whose powerful father shields him due to his wealth and influence in the city. Eventually, the police conclude their investigation. Zach's father argues with him in the car after the investigation, revealing that their relationship is tense. It becomes clear that all the residents of the city hate Zach's father because he exploits his wealth and influence for evil purposes and earns money through illegitimate means. Mackenzie goes out with Ollie for a walk, and they reminisce about their past relationships together. They meet their school friends, who are heading to Zach's house for a party. Mackenzie joins them, leaving Ollie alone, as she doesn't want anyone to know about their relationship. At the party, the friends play a game of revealing secrets, where each person talks about a secret they've been keeping that no one knows. Katie reveals that she got accepted into her dream university. When it's Mackenzie's turn to talk about the secret, she becomes very tense. Then she says that she's a poet so that no one pays attention to her. Then, all the attendees at the party receive a message from an unknown sender revealing that Rodrigo is a drug addict. Suddenly, the lights go out, causing panic and fear at the party. Everyone tries to escape, but then the killer appears, wearing a mask resembling Rodrigo's face. Rodrigo attempts to flee, but the killer electrocutes him with a stun gun, causing his immediate death. The school is closed for a month due to the crimes committed. The month passes, and the school reopens, with most students moving on from the incidents except for Mackenzie's group, who are still grieving Rodrigo's death. Alex becomes suspicious of Ollie as the killer due to his antisocial behavior and troubled past, especially since his brother is a police officer. Mackenzie defends Ollie until they argue, and she walks away, returning home to find her grandmother, who suggests she spend a night at Alex's place for safety. However, Mackenzie refuses due to their ongoing disagreement. The next day, Ollie visits Mackenzie at home, and they talk for a while until Mackenzie notices a lightning bolt on Ollie's car. Ollie then confesses that he knows everything about her, including her true identity. Mackenzie becomes extremely tense and suspicious, leaving him and walking away alone. When she returns home, she's fearful, locks all the doors, and grabs a knife to protect herself. Later that night, Mackenzie wakes up feeling uneasy and realizes the knife is missing. All the apartment doors are open, so she grabs her phone to call for help but discovers a room full of pictures of a burned girl. Suddenly, the killer attacks her with electricity, then pours gasoline on her. However, Mackenzie manages to fall to the ground before being set on fire. At that moment, Alex arrives, causing the killer to flee. Mackenzie realizes that Ollie is the killer and informs the police, who arrest him shortly after. When Mackenzie wakes up in the hospital, she reveals her secret to her friends. Her real name is Born Harold. She was accused of burning her former schoolmate, Yasmin, because Yasmin used to bully her constantly. During a school trip, Yasmin kidnapped Boren and tortured her, bullying her. When Boren defended herself and accidentally pushed Yasmin away, Yasmin fell into the nearby fire and half of her face got burned. Boren was imprisoned because of this incident. When she was released from prison, she decided to change her name and move to a new city to start a new life. Anyway, all of this was happening because Mackenzie didn't want anyone to know what had happened to her in the past, and she wanted to start something new away from her past. After a few days, Mackenzie finds herself standing in front of the school, waiting for Alex to pick her up in the car. Then, Ollie appears, and they realize that the police let him go due to lack of evidence proving he's the killer. Mackenzie gets scared and runs away from him, heading back to school and attempting to call the police. At that moment, she encounters Caleb in the school and feels relieved that she found someone with her. However, her relief doesn't last long as the killer appears behind Caleb and attacks them with a knife, leaving the knife in Mackenzie's hand to frame her for the murder. Mackenzie stands there shocked by what just happened until Ollie comes from behind, reassuring her. This revelation helps them realize that the killer is someone else, not Ollie, and Caleb is still alive but injured. They rush Caleb to the hospital immediately. So, Zach's father threw a celebration because he bought a new farm. Mackenzie and her friends quickly head to the festival because Zach is there with his father, and they want to catch up with him before anything happens to him. However, the killer appears at the festival, pouring gasoline everywhere in the farm and setting it on fire. When Mackenzie arrives with her friends, they drive into the farm in their car amidst the flames to look for Zach. Mackenzie takes a knife with her, while Ollie has an electric shock device to defend himself. They continue searching for Zach until they spot the killer, who suddenly attacks Zach's father. Suddenly, Zach reveals himself as the killer and Ollie attempts to shock him with the electric device, but it fails to work. Zach then attacks Ollie with a sword in the abdomen. Ollie falls to the ground, and Mackenzie is shocked to see her friend in this state, unable to believe what is happening. Zach confesses to Mackenzie that he killed all these people because they bullied him and didn't like him just because his father is rich, although Zach himself had nothing to do with his father's wealth. Afterwards, Zach tries to kill Mackenzie as well, but then Ollie rises from the ground and shocks Zach with the electric device. Mackenzie seizes the opportunity and kills Zach with the knife, ending his life. After a while, following these events, we see the students at a graduation ceremony from the school. It becomes apparent that each of them has accepted at the university they all plan to attend, and they are all relieved after facing their fears that they had been running away from. If you liked the video, please click like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to activate the notification bell to receive updates on new content. Goodbye and stay tuned for our next film.